How you doing, everybody? I hope you're all well. It's been a couple of years when I made a video on YouTube. It seems like a lifetime to me. The only reason why I'm making this video is because I think it's two things. I think it's a very important day in the history of Western Europe, and I think also it's important that we see the shortcomings of what we know as democracy at work. And the reason I raise this is because obviously today this is December the 18th, the actual day when the Scots are voting. What time is it now? It's 15 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. I don't know what way the vote has gone or anything like that. I haven't been looking at the radio or TV or anything like that. But the reason that I'm on doing this video is because I had conversations with two people this morning. Conversations with one man who's delivers to my door here, and he agreed with my kind of general theme of thinking about it. And then there was another person who was delivering stuff as well, and he raised it with me again. He raised it also with me, but he disagreed completely. I thought it was very, very interesting that two men, both of them in their 40s, should raise this issue, because at the core of it all is the thinking that somehow or other we as a people, the way we are structured in modern Western society, can have control our destiny in some way. And in certain states we can, but in other states we can't. And what's going to happen today is Scotland is going to vote whether or not it should politically secede from England and the rest of the UK, or what they call the UK. But it's essentially seceding from England because the power is there in Westminster. The political power is there in Westminster, and they control the money and the general economic and social policies relating to Scotland to a large extent, because they control the money strings. That's essentially, they control the raising of revenue, all right, taxes, etc. Anyway, to sort of give my halfpence worth, as for what it's worth, we got to go back to imagine the flight of the Earls in Ireland, because what happened in Ireland in the first decade of the 17th century was essentially, it laid down the blueprint for what this little island nation, this little England, this little tiny place was going to do with all over the world, in every country that it seized and every country that it grabbed. And after the flight of the Earls, what happened was, if you can imagine, they all left and they went to the continent, and their lands, obviously because they were clan lands, it was a clan type of a society governed by chieftains. There was no king, so you had these large swathes of land all over Ireland which were just vacant because nobody had title on them. The people that had title, the people that actually held a title under Irish law, ancient Irish law, had gone. So the English just come in and seized it and give it to all their toadies and all the rest, and we know that, okay? But they did another thing which is you have to understand it, and they left a legacy. They actually left a book. That's the book there, and this is a modern copy of the book here, okay? And it's written by a man called Sir John Davies, and he was the Attorney General in Ireland under James VI of Scotland, James I of England, okay? Who in turn was a Gaelic chieftain. You must remember, he was also a Gaelic king. So he understood how the whole thing worked in Scotland and in Ireland. He understood the whole mindset of the Irish people and the Scottish people, because they were essentially one. Were essentially the same kind of ethos, clan-led and all the rest of it, okay? He understood it. And he appointed this guy called Sir John Davies, who was basically a barbarian, a sophisticated barbarian. And he wrote this book. So there's actually a legacy, a real live legacy written by this man, and it tells you the following. A discovery of the true causes why Ireland was never entirely subdued and brought under obedience to the crown of England until the beginning of His Majesty's happy reign in 1612. So he wrote this book in 1612. There's a modern copy of it done in, I don't know when it's 19 or something or other. 1988, okay? And in this book is laid down a total analysis of Irish society and how to take it apart, how to systematically take it apart, how to destroy the language, the customs, the laws, the legacy, all the social infrastructure, all the political infrastructure, everything. And what happened from the time of that this was initiated in 1612, James VI of Scotland, James I of England, he took this on board and initiated this programme. And then it was followed up by Fuller Kings and obviously the rest of them. And basically what it consisted of that if you stuck your head above the parapet and you didn't do exactly what they told you, they stuck you on, but if you were too dangerous, they killed you, they just did you in. Or else they stuck you on board a ship and sent you off to Van Diemen's Land or somewhere in the West Indies or something like that, and you became one of their minions, or you worked on a fucking slave plantation or whatever. It mattered that they'd loads, because they developed the empire. They were beginning to develop the empire at that stage, and they'd loads of outposts all over the empire, and they needed enthusiastic people who could speak their language, and the paddies could, to a large, well, not all the time, but some of them could speak their language, and they shipped them all out, and that's the way it went on. And what happened was they refined this as each decade went on. They refined and refined what was in this book. This is a strategy. This is a political strategy contained in this book, okay? And eventually they arrived at the time of dealing with the Scots, which was after Culloden, and they did a sophisticated version of what's in that book to the Scots. And why this is important is because the only thing about Scotland is Scotland didn't have the potato famine, okay? We had the potato famine. And after the potato famine, between the potato famine and the British clearances of our land and seizures of our lands here in Ireland and everything went on, basically we ended up here in Ireland with the rump of the gene pool. This is what we have. All the best of the Irish are everywhere else in the world. They're in Australia, they're in America, they're in New Zealand, they're in Canada, you name it, all over the world. We are the rump of the gene pool here. And to a certain extent, that is what the situation is in Scotland. And let me tell you something now, because I'm going to hang myself out to dry here if this does not come to pass. I don't know what the outcome of that vote's going to be. But I feel that I have to make some comment on it because of the conversation I have with the two men at the door. And what I'm saying is, it cannot happen and it will not happen. There's no way that the Brits, that the English are going to let the richest, the jewel in their crown at the moment, a country that's adjacent to them, that don't even have to cross a sea, a country that is a jewel of their crown from a financial point of view and from a resources point of view. This has got oil in many trillions, many trillions of pounds, or dollars, or whatever currency you want to negotiate it in. It has untold natural resources. Like Ireland, we're the same. Except under Charlie Haughey, we give it all away. That's another day's work. But that's what's going on today in Scotland. And we're asked to believe that the English are just going to sit by and let it happen, as it were. Just let it happen. No, it doesn't work like that. We had to force, the Irish had to force those people. We had to force the English out of our country. After a bloody war of independence. And the Scotch think that they're going to be able to just write a bit of X on a bit of paper, and a basic democratic vote is going to essentially make a political break away from England. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't know how, I don't know the intricacies of it, but let me tell you something. Every British agent that's in Scotland, and there are hundreds of thousands of them, is going to be mobilised. Hundreds of thousands of them. You think of all the wars that they fought for the Brits alongside the Brits, and they still do. They've got regiments of people who fight for them on a regular basis. soldiers, Scottish soldiers. They have them. They have got a whole civil service infrastructure. They're all pro-British. They have a whole, what would I call it, a social coterie of public servants who are all pro-British. And they're all going to be mobilised. And what is facing them is, as I say, the rump of a Scottish gene pool. Because the best of the Scots, there's no doubt, went to Canada and went to far-flung, went to New Zealand and went to Australia, like the Paddies. And they're very much in a boat like us. Very much in a boat. So I'm hanging my, I'm making a declaration here. It's not going to happen. And I don't think it's going to be a close thing at all. They're saying it's going to be a close thing. Please believe me, I don't think it'll be a close thing. I think between 5 and 10% it's going to go against Scottish independence, as it were. That's my thoughts about it. I don't know what you think, but that's my thoughts about it. It's just maybe it's just my cynicism. Maybe I'd love it to go the other way, but it ain't. I'm too much of an old guy. I've been around too many street corners. I know all the moves. I've seen them all. It ain't going to happen. There's too much money and there's too much natural resources involved. And that's it. End of story. Sorry about that, Scotland, but that's just the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the world we live in. I wish you the best. Bye. We'll talk more.